So hello everybody, welcome back. So I wanted to talk to you about things that nobody is mentioning, and so this one is going to be different because this video will have a lot of homework for you. Oh yes, we the adults, we also still get homework, especially if you are in this channel because it's a teaching channel. It's about you learning things, mostly about your own immunological process, or maybe just generally speaking, things that may be interesting, and a lot of eddies, and sometimes funny things, like the stories in that I tell. But this one is going to be an actual class about all of the things that I don't see, anyone mentioning, which is important to understand. So, for this one, since you might as well pull an all-nighter or something, then grab your coffee and your notebook because you're going to need it. So, having said all of that, if you wanted to share a coffee with me, links for that down below. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And if you wanted to take a look at my books, links for that down below. The background is my daughter. She's mine. Yeah, she gets to play while I do the homework. And so several things that I do not know why they are not being mentioned, like I said. Number one, if you think that Wi-Fi is the future, yeah, you're probably in the past. And then you are like, actually, you're using Wi-Fi right now. And yes, I am. But that's not the point. Let me explain why. Wi-Fi is a frequency that can actually harm a lot of things, living things, because it's an energy field, and it's sort of like different levels of vibration. It's kind of like you seeing something through an X-ray or a UV light, and then the actual light from the sun, or you looking at it from with a shadow thing, or whatever. Depending upon several things, several layers, you might take a look at different things, even though that they are the same. So, what does this mean? Well, that Wi-Fi is expensive. Wi-Fi is not as efficient as it could be, and Wi-Fi is also it also has issues in terms of privacy and other stuff, and it can be shut down if you do not pay, or if you do not have electricity, meaning power, to make it happen. So you need the infrastructure for electricity, and you need the infrastructure for the actual device for the Wi-Fi. And then, like I said, you are also going to need money to pay for all of these things because they require a lot of maintenance and people and all of that. So there is another technology that it's actually being used by other people. This one is called Li-Fi. 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 So instead of Wi-Fi, this one is Li-Fi because it is actually based upon light. It is way more efficient. It is almost free. It doesn't require a lot of power. And the best part is that since it involves light, then it's not so harmful as it is the Wi-Fi. And by the way, it can travel way faster than Wi-Fi, and it can contain way more information than Wi-Fi. So why is it that this technology, which is being used, as far as I can tell, by certain elites and certain people, because it's, like I said, is way more efficient, way cheaper, is doesn't require a lot of things, doesn't require a lot of electricity or whatever. So why is it that this is not being used? Oh yeah, that's because the Wi-Fi you have to pay, and the Wi-Fi depends upon the internet, and this whole thing, it's meant to pollute the environment because it requires more space, more machinery, more sound, more contamination, more everything. But this one is just light. So if people really wanted to change the climate change or whatever, this will change. This one will turn around that problem if it was a real problem or an issue, because you reduce the need for a lot of storage for the actual internet, like servers and stuff. It will reduce the need for electricity, and it will reduce the need for so many freaking things. And and by the way, since it involves light, then basically you can have it everywhere in the entire planet without that many infrastructures. So yeah, it's a political nightmare, because it's going to have virtually almost everybody having access to communication and a lot of things, almost free, and no pollution, no nothing, and no money involved, which means that both the rich and the poor can enjoy it, no problem. So I haven't seen a lot of people talking about that. Second, there is not a lot of people talking about the supermarkets in the Netherlands being empty. And most people are wondering why is that not in the media. The reason is because in Sri Lanka, there was this problem with fuel and the food, that it lasted about 3 weeks or so. And after about 1 week, people started being pissed off beyond redemption. Like, it was dead or die, do or die kind of thing. And people prefer to die. It's not doable. It's not Venezuela. The reason being that these people are already kind of poor, so they are already in the bottom that they can actually go to. They cannot go possibly any lower. In Venezuela, you can still go lower, because Venezuela is a jungle. Literally, I'm not joking. People here will survive a zombie apocalypse, for all I know, because we're already in a jungle and we already know how to do everything, and almost everything. And if we don't know how to make it, we will make it happen by laughing with that thing, or whatever it is. Or we will just change the game and we don't care. But other people, oh no, other people, like I said, we are the 2-year-olds in terms of, if you were to describe us to humans, we are 2-year-olds. And I told you, 2-year-olds have ways to destroy everything and to remake everything, and to have a way of, since we're 2-year-olds, it's like we have bones that are made out of rubber. You know how kids fall all the time and they seem to not, to just bounce back? Yeah. So Venezuelans are like that. Most other cultures will not be like that. So in Sri Lanka, they tried a lot of things. And they didn't work. And people stayed in line for, let's say 4,000 motorcycles trying to get fueled in one gas station. 4,000 motorcycles at once. In my country, we have that all the time, but in here we bribe, we do a lot of things to deal with that. In that country, not happening. And so the situation there, it was so chaotic that people about 3 weeks ago, they started going into the politicians' houses and they started hitting politicians. Every time that somebody says, I work for the government, basically you were going to be beaten, probably to death. So everyone who was associated with working for the government was basically an enemy for every single person that there was out there, including your own family. And the situation became so bad that the president resigned, and then even though that they have no money to buy fuel or whatever, they found in the president's house, and this is personal, not the government's house, it's just the personal house of this guy. He had more than 20 luxurious type of cars. All of them had fuel tanks that were filled, and they found a lot of money and a lot of things, and it was so basically there is no money for the farmers or for anyone, but there is plenty for the president to buy all of these things that he doesn't need, or whatever. So in Sri Lanka, they basically destroyed everything. They were actually rioting like their life depended on it, because it actually does. And so if in the Netherlands they had that problem because of farmers were told to stop working because of the carbon tax that they were going to make. And people were already, from other countries, people were already flying in and trying to help. Because obviously, you have international organizations that are for farmers and people that are doing the same industry than you are. And so this one became sort of like, you mess with one, you mess with everyone. So they had a lot of support, and they have a lot of people that were dealing with this, because they were not going to take the carbon tax on animals and other things in terms of farming. So people took notice of that, and regular people said, okay, there is no farming, there is going to be new taxes, and there is going to be other issues. So they ran to the supermarkets, and basically they empty the supermarkets, and now there is no food. Now, it's not that there is no food, because there is food. I can tell you right now, I can tell you that one. It's probably in storage. And I know that because in my country we have that issue. Every time that we have a shortage of some sort, somehow 1 week later, in certain places, not every place, but in certain places, you were able to find whatever you couldn't find in the entire country 1 week ago. So there is no way that you're producing something that is industrial in 1 week. It's just not happening. So if you can find it in 1 week, that means that there was a storage. It's just that the storage is not going to be sold to anyone. The storage is sort of like, let's say that you are producing milk, and you have 20 clients that always are asking for your milk. Supermarket A, supermarket B, whatever, private clients, whatever. You have 20 people that always buy your milk. Out of the 20, let's say that 10 are regular customers. Like they have been there with you from the beginning of time. So if there is a shortage because now you have no cows and you cannot produce any milk or anything like that, then you are selling the milk, you are getting half to you so that you can sell it for a price higher later. So you're saying, okay, if I sell everything right now, I will be without nothing, and then I won't be able to make more, and then I will probably need more money, and I will probably need more to make everything, but then I won't have it. So I'm going to store half, and then I'm going to sell half. And I'm not going to sell half to the 20 clients. I'm going to say half to only the 10 main clients, and those are the ones that are going to get the milk. So the same thing will happen to the supermarket and whoever is, in charge of those things. If there is a major player in terms of place, not the chain, the supermarket chain or whatever. I'm talking about the particular store. Because if you're selling the milk to supermarket A, but supermarket A does not have one supermarket, they probably have 20 locations. So they will pick out of those 20 locations, they will pick 2 or 3 that are the ones that have more money coming into them, or more clients that they like better because they spend money every time that they go there. See, if you have to choose, and you are supermarket A, and the guy gave you the milk, and you know that this is the last milk you are getting, and you have to share it with your 20 stores, to your 20 locations, what do? Do you send them to the place that people just go and do express shopping, as in they go, they buy the milk, and then they leave? Or do you put it where the people actually spend $400 in that place because they shop around and they stay, and they're the average client will spend more, and then this will attract even more clients than before, and all of that. So now each person that gets the shortage item has to make decisions, as in, do I send it to this store or that store, even though that they are both the same. So this is important to understand, because at this point you will have virtually people traveling 1 hour or 2 hours to the supermarket location, even though that the supermarket is the same brand, because that place has richer people and they spend more money in it. That also means that the end user, the one that is actually buying the milk, meaning the consumer, you are going to end up traveling more, spending more on fuel, spending more on time, and then on top of that, since you are going to another place, you're probably going to spend more money in it, because that place probably doesn't have the same taxing and the same cost, because they probably have air conditioner and a lot of other things that your supermarket that is poor do not have, even though they're the same brand. So this one is what is going to happen. And so if you haven't seen my reproduction list about shopping, you may also want to check that one, because people that work in the supermarkets, they know where the food is. They probably have it hidden in some places, because I have seen it happen. You know how there is a shelves, and then there is a bottom part of the shelf that most people will not bend? Yeah, you can see that there are a lot of products that will be hidden there. They will be hidden on top, they will be hidden in the toys department, they will be hidden in a lot of things, and your shopping habits are now going to have to adapt. Because most people just go and say, okay, where is the milk? Aisle milk. I'll go get it. No, yeah, that's not how you're going to do things anymore. So you might need to rethink things. And at this point, you might need to ask the managers if they can check other stores for the same brand. So basically, let's say that you're at Publix. So you call the manager in Publix and says, hey, do you have this particular product in any other Publix around here? And they will tell you, well, we have 25 Publix in this area, and you can find it in this particular Publix. So you might need to shop around with your cell phone and all those things. So I have a reproduction list about all of those things that are going to be doing about shopping. Also, after about 10 days to 2 weeks, the suppliers will stabilize the issue, the chain, and then it will last about 2 weeks, and then they will have they will have sent a lot of merchandise to all of the supermarkets, so the shortage is going to be temporary for about 2 weeks. That is if and only if they solve the problems that they have in terms of, like I said, the clients, the chain in the suppliers here, and here, and here, and there. So if they fix that, then you might expect food between maybe 2 weeks. And also because there is a lot of people, I have told you in all of the videos about food, and I live all the time, I told you, food will follow the money. If there is rich people, do you think that rich people are going to stand in line and fight for the food and all of that? Right. So rich people will have a way around this thing, and they will find the food. That also means that you might need to go into restaurants and buy supply from the restaurants, because restaurants cannot stop working because there is no food. They gotta figure things out fast. And so some people will go to restaurants and buy a small supply, because if a restaurant buys 25 cases, they might sell you 1 or 2. If you work with the restaurant, or if you are a client with the restaurant, they will sell you a little bit of that food, because they might not use it, all of it. It's sort of like the package is 25, but I only need 20, so you can get the other 5. They will usually share it with the employees, but sometimes they will do other stuff. So there are a lot of ways around this problem about food. I have mentioned some of them in the food videos. Others I have mentioned in the shopping videos, and others I have mentioned in the line videos, making lines and stuff like that. So this may or may not be temporary, but you need to look at the factors that are involved into what caused the situation, and what is being done by the people that actually is making money out of this problem. Because if there is a way to make money out of this problem, then there is a solution. Because solutions are meant to be handled with your mind. And a lot of people will need to be creative in terms of maintaining the business and all of these things. So you gotta think like those people. And if you are not one of those people and you are a regular citizen, then you might expect to be in Sri Lanka. Now that means that you're probably going to be involved into riots and all kinds of issues. And then if something like that happens, I do not need to tell you that there are probably going to be fires involved, and there are going to be probably a lot of other issues involved. And so you want to be prepared either way. But if you want to actually solve the problem, as in not being hungry and all of that, then you gotta think like somebody that has money, and somebody that has a lot of creative thinking, and somebody that understands change in terms of how things work. And I have mentioned all of them in the videos. Like I said, the shopping ones and the food ones and the other ones. So I have also heard a lot about other issues, like the Chinese economy about to be blown over. And here's why. Because most of the times you can measure how good living in a certain place is based upon how much work you will have to put up with your own salary in order for you to be able to get a house. So China has a lot of housing, but buying a house will take you 40 years in a medium salary. 40 years. That is quite expensive. Of course, not as expensive in Venezuela. Venezuela, if you were going to, do medium salary, as in, because the minimum wage is, I think, is about 30 right now, $35. So let's say $50 so that it's easier. So $50, and then the average apartment, decent, kind of normal for a couple, and I do mean a couple, no kids, no anything, just a couple, will cost you, let's say, $30,000. So $30,000, and then you're spending $50 per month, and that means that you're not going to eat, you're not going to pay, transportation, and you're going to pay nothing. You can do the math, and it's going to be way over 40 years. I think, the other day there was a calculation, especially, depending upon the city that you're in, but if you're in Caracas, yeah, it will take you more than, I think it was 200 years. 200 years of you working so that you can afford housing of your own. Yeah, I don't know about you, but that means that you're already dead. Unless, you manage to become Methuselah or somebody like that, then you're okay, because you probably have, way more life ahead of you, since you're going to live about 2,000 years old. Anyway, so point being that, China has a lot of issues because in countries like the US or England, some cities, you will be working between 12 years to up to 20 years, and then your house is yours. So that's not bad. 20 years, that's not bad compared to 40 in China. So the other issue is that 30% of the economy on that country it works with construction. And the other part is that they are having a lot of issues because of the quarantines that they are making mandatory in the cities. People are fleeing the cities. People are dying all of a suddenly. They don't have the actual statistics for anything that they are doing. It's just bleak and it's insane. So if you were thinking that China is going to rule the world in terms of economy, then I think that you didn't get it. Because they might be running a lot of things, but no, they're not. Because if you want to make an economy work, then you absolutely need regular people to be able to afford housing within a top, and I do mean like a top 15 to 20 years. In fact, if you can make people afford their own housing within 10 years, of working, then you are all settled. And I do mean you're all settled, because that means that basically you have everybody buying a house, you have everybody being independent, you have everybody working to actually have a lot of things in the house. And I do not need to tell you that if you live in a house that is considered middle class or normal, then you have over 30,000, and I do mean over 30,000 items within that house. Between the bed sheets, the beds, the air conditioner, the things that you have, the blenders, the things that you have in the kitchen and whatever, it's insane. So if each house is buying over 30,000 things, in a lifetime, that is an economy that is, yeah. I think that economy that might be as well called the Superman economy. I think that the only way to take it down will be to buy kryptonite or something like that, which means an environmental disaster or something like that, because other than that, no, you are getting it corrected. So it's insane, the whole situation with China. That means that the economy in that country is going to take a huge hit. And when that happens, I do not need to tell you that other countries will take over. Right now, Mexico has taken over. In fact, a lot of companies are actually moving towards Mexico and towards other countries because it's closer, which means that the transportation is less money and it's less time and it's also less restricted and a lot of other things, especially when it comes to handling things between the US and Europe. And this is going to play a role because that means that China will have to find a way to solve this problem. And by the way, that is not going to be easy. By any means necessary, it's not going to be easy. However, if you compare that problem with Venezuela, then yeah, right, it's like you comparing, I don't know what to compare it to, because quite frankly it's just insane. But anyway, so I also have not seen a lot of people talking about the real things that are important in terms of cars. I have several several videos in which I mentioned the issues about cars and EDCs and things like that, which are quite important. But I wasn't talking about the regular way. I was talking about the car that is Toyota, the brand. Everybody's talking about Tesla, and the electrical car, as in that being the solution to transportation and all of that. And that is not the solution, because you need batteries, and the batteries are being produced by kids, and I do mean kids, kids who are 10-year-olds. They are working on the mines so that they can get the minerals for the batteries that these electrical cars require. Now, if you have kids, then I do not need to tell you that this is insane. You're trying to fight climate change by making 10-year-olds, work in mines so that you can get minerals, so that you can get batteries, which will still require electricity, which will still require the fuel stations to be up, and which will still require a lot of other things, rather than just going with the Toyota that has the hydrogen type of engine. And that one will work better, and you will not need all of these things that they do need for the other brands and stuff like that. This car was supposed to be released on the Tokyo Olympic Games, but they were not able to do it because of the pandemic and all of these things that actually happened right before the Tokyo Olympics. And I think that the reason why the media went crazy before the Tokyo Olympics was partially to not show this to everybody in the market. So I think that if you are an investor, of money and things like that, then you are probably looking at the things that are trending in the market, but they are not the real trend. It's like you thinking that the trend is a wave on the sea. The trends are actually the undersea currents, the currents that go below the sea, and they are the ones that move the entire ocean. Those are the ones that you want to be looking at, because once one person, and I do mean one person, think of one TikToker, one, that says, oh, I love this thing. Ooh. Oh, come on, that kid who is 16 is probably making millions of people that will go and run and buy the same thing that they are getting. Especially if they say, oh, this one is cool and will save the world, like Toyota or whatever. Yeah. And like I said, I'm not an investor and I'm not anything. I'm just telling you from the beginning of this video, do your homework. Because the whole topic is you saving the environment. And if you can save the environment with a company like that, or a company like Dyson that produces the vacuums and is producing a lot of electronics and things like that are like German made. German as in, I have things that are German that my grandmother bought, and they are still working and still strong and still new, like if they were virgin or something. It's like the Germans of my grandmother's time, they were thinking, okay, there is going to be a zombie apocalypse, and there is going to be a user called Marielle, and then she's going to destroy whatever we throw at her, so we gotta make it Marielle's proof. If Marielle doesn't destroy, then we're done. So yeah. they were thinking about me when they were doing a lot of things. So this company, oh yeah. So I like it because they're thinking that the client is going to be an idiot, and the client is also probably going to cause allergic reaction to whatever they are producing. So they need to make it so that it's strong enough to withstand allergy attacks and all kinds of attacks, fire attacks, destroyed attacks, or whatever attacks. So, um, so yeah. So I like companies like that because they are creating new trends, and the people that will be poor, which by the way that means more than half of the world, are going to realize that okay, so we are going to be cut off from the Wi-Fi, from the internet, but we still need to communicate. How about we use Wi-Fi like everybody else? Yeah, there is still an issue with the car because there is no electrical car charger or whatever in my town. But yeah, we don't need it. We can just get a Toyota. There is this thing about you getting spare parts for that thing or whatever because it's a regular brand. No, let's just get a Dyson, and we will never need to buy anything from that thing again. It will be more expensive at the beginning, but oh come on, that thing will survive us, and stuff like that. Because money is going to be so tight that it's going to be insane. And you do not want to keep buying something or keep paying for something that is just not going to be able to do anything for you. Because then you will have to choose between food and that. And, not a lot of things will be able to come before food, not even medicine. So, just food and transportation. Those will be your two main things. Food and transportation. Everything else is just, icing in the cake kind of thing. So you really want to have stuff that is good and will survive, a lot of damage. Because you breaking something and then trying to replace it during hard times, that will be like you dreaming. That's just going to be very, very, very hard unless you have a lot of money. But if you already have a lot of money, then you will have a lot of other issues that regular people do not have. And I have mentioned this before. Rich people problems are in a whole new level. Middle class people, leverage level. And poor people, an entire different game. It's like you playing 3 different games or 3 different levels of the same game, and each level is sort of like you go from you fighting aliens, and then in the next level you are the alien, and then in the next level you are actually reproducing the aliens to fight other aliens. And you're like, what happened here? You don't know what. Yeah, it's sort of like that. So it's insane, and I do not know why not enough people are talking about the new trends. The actual new trends, not the ones that are being told in necessarily by TV or others, but the actual trends. And how come nobody is talking about what to do? Because you see, if they're thinking that the solution is you buying food and storing it, yeah, that's one way to look at it, but what are you going to do once the food runs out? Because, it's not like you can stop eating for a full year just because you're afraid, right? And by the way, even if you're thinking, I have told you before like 1,000 times over, but I'm going to repeat it. If you're thinking that your calculations are correct in terms of the amount of food that you're actually going to consume and all of that, or the amount of water and all of that, yeah, I have a reproduction list called miscalculations. You might want to look at that one. Because, yeah, no. You're thinking 10? No, that's not the real number. You're thinking, no, that's not the real number. No, then the answer is no, 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 sorry, no. So, it's going to go insane, especially when you have, a couple and you have kids and all of that. So you might want to get a look at that reproduction list. I'm sorry because a lot of reproduction lists are quite long, and it's just that I have told you it's a teaching channel and you're supposed to know a lot of things. And so I try to be very thorough, and I have like more than 500 videos to prove that. So anyway, my daughter wants me to go, and I think that I have mentioned a lot of things, and I think that I already gave you like 4 or 5 homework so far. So I think that's enough homework for today, right? Maybe I will talk to you next week for the next homework. And maybe you will have it done, and maybe your assignment will get an A. Yahoo! Just be happy that whatever homework you do is better than doing nothing at all.